Senator from New Hampshire.
Madam President, I join my colleagues this morning to share the stories of the people in New Hampshire who are currently enduring hardships because of this Trump shutdown, a shutdown which has been termed by a number of my colleagues as the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. I have here a picture of Andre from Derry, New Hampshire. Andre and his wife Maria and their 3 beautiful children. Andre is an air traffic controller working at Boston Terminal Radar Approach Control Facility in Merrimack, New Hampshire. Sounds like it would be in Boston, but it's not. It's in New Hampshire, where we have hundreds of air traffic controllers and FAA personnel. Andre works at the center to keep the airways safe for passengers who are flying over the Granite State. And he also represents and talks to a number of other air traffic controllers in the New England region to hear what they have to say and what he's hearing right now regarding the shutdown. Andre writes, "Air traffic controllers have remained on the job, dedicated to the safety of every flight, but we don't know when we'll receive our next paycheck. My colleagues and I have suffered the sudden loss of our income due to the government shutdown. It's going to be hard for me to meet all of my financial obligations," end quote. You know, what I'm most impressed with by the federal workers who I've met with is their dedication to their jobs. All of those air traffic controllers who understand that the safety of the skies in the United States depends on them. And they're there. They're not getting paid. They're experiencing hardships like Andre's talking about. But they are there doing everything they can to make sure that the American public can fly safely. In addition to Andre's story, I've heard from nearly 100 other air traffic controllers in New Hampshire, all calling for an end to the shutdown. Controllers who are protecting our safety and who are working without pay. I want to read an excerpt from a letter that I received from Jamie in Auburn, New Hampshire, because I think it so exemplifies where we are and how the American people are feeling about this government shutdown. Jamie says, and I quote, "Dear Senator Shaheen, there are many stories to be told regarding the effects of the government shutdown on federal employees. The stress of financial uncertainty, the inability to take necessary time from work to care for our families, and the continued degradation of FAA resources. These are but a few examples shared amongst us. But there is something that tears at the very fabric of who we are. We take deep pride in serving our country, providing the safest and most efficient air traffic control system in the world. We do so with an unwavering sense of duty and a deep understanding of the trust bestowed on us by the American people. To be used as pawns in a political chess match not only disrespects us as dedicated federal employees, but it serves to weaken our democracy. A government that must hold hostage the livelihood of its citizens is the very definition of a failed democracy. And sadly, that's what President Donald Trump is doing. He is holding hostage hundreds of thousands of federal workers, and he is being enabled in this effort by the Republican leadership in this Senate, who is unwilling to bring forward the bills that would open the government today because we could pass them today. Now, these are just 2 examples that I think articulate the very real impact that this shutdown is having on many hardworking Americans and their families. And I ask unanimous consent, Madam President, to enter into the record these letters that I've received from air traffic controllers.
Without objection.
Now, I know that every member of the Senate has heard from constituents who are facing significant hardships as a result of the shutdown. I know that every member wants the shutdown to end. Unfortunately, President Trump doesn't seem to want this shutdown to end. The House has already passed appropriations bills that would reopen government. This appropriations legislation is not partisan. In fact, they're bills that have already had bipartisan support in the Senate. So I urge President Trump, Majority Leader McConnell, and our Republican colleagues to take up these bills to reopen the government. I believe we should reopen the government. Let's do our job so that the rest of America can do theirs. I yield the floor.